What's up, everyone? Welcome back. This is Matt Mormon. This is Obsessed Garage. This is what I do. Wash cars and talk to you in my garage. So tonight, I'm gonna actually rewind because I actually started this video earlier this morning, but I got sidetracked. Had a friend, John Clevin from Metropolitan Detail, come and hang out. We went to lunch. I got sidetracked today. Did a couple of things back at HQ, and now I'm back out here in the wash bay at 8 o'clock at night to wash my very, very dirty, very pollen-ridden and neglected E92 M3. And I'm going to chat you up and talk you through what's going on with life, talk to you about some new products. But before we get started here in the wash part, I'm going to back up here and show you the new Ego 630. Is it 630? I think it's called the 630, the new Ego blower, and also show you the install of my B&K receiver. And then we'll come back out here and catch up to tonight, where I'm going to show you a couple of different things and talk you up as I wash my M3. So let's get started. Oh, it's a glorious Thursday. I went to the gym already, annihilated myself. I guess I gotta sell this thing. This is prototype number 2 with original wand, so I'll probably put this up on Instagram to sell this thing here shortly. Get it out of here because I got the actual OG spec version here. But I've got a Ego 630, the new one, so I figured I'd unbox it. I was gonna just tear it apart here, and I figured it'd probably be smarter to do it on camera since I've got the camera sitting right here. HQ, if you've been following along, I've been really dialing in the new side of OGHQ, and so I've been kind of selling off some stuff that I haven't used, sticking with my 2-month rule, where if I haven't used something in a couple of months, then it's probably time to move on from it. And so the reason why I bought the 630, outside of it being the new version, I don't know that we need anymore, I'm sorry, 650, Ego 650 CFM version, is I sent the 530 to the new gym because we moved the gym, the CrossFit gym that I own, out of the building and moved it up to a new building that I bought. And so I was at Home Depot getting a bunch of stuff. I needed to get a new shop vac and things like that. So I bought the 630 just to try it out. Figured why not? Since I needed a new one for the gym anyway. So these things are pretty darn simple. I mean, you've got the main unit, you've got the main tube. I actually don't like this for drying, so some people do, but I don't like using that. I like using just the tube, the regular version, and there you go. That's about all there is for assembly. I don't think there's anything else in the box. You got the charger. So I actually bought the rapid charger, and I don't really think that's necessary. I think the rapid charger was like 90 bucks. I don't find the regular charger to take all that long, so I don't know that the rapid charger is necessary. Anyway, I forgot to explain. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to wash the M3 because it's driving me insane. So every single car I have is a mess. It's pollen season, oak leaf season. So every single car that I own is dirty as crap. It's driving me insane. And so that's part of what we're going to talk about here today is, for a while, I'm going to go back to a little bit more rational life of cars and not have so many of them. And so we'll be talking about that as I'm washing the M3. But I wanted to get a couple of these little projects done here. And so the 630, the battery that comes with this is the 5 amp hour. So I have 2 of them. And so what I did is I took the rapid charger that I have and I took it out of here and I put it with the 580 that I left at HQ. The 530 is at my CrossFit gym, and then because I bought a rapid charger, I have an extra charger, and so over here in the cabinet I'm going to have 2 chargers set up. Here at the wash bay at my house, I use the leaf blower for all kinds of stuff, so I like to have 2 batteries. I don't think I'll need 2 back at OGHQ, so I'm just going to take these 2 battery chargers, have them side by side. That way I can charge 2 at once. I don't know that I would buy an extra battery charger if I were you. I don't think it's necessary. These batteries charge pretty quickly. And I do have a bad battery. I think it's this one here. This battery. These actually are a little easier to use if you have them standing up. So what might make sense, it might make sense if I move my batteries down here. Gotta get rid of this frickin' helmet, so I never use it. And then again, I've got all these things that I never use either. So I should probably throw this stuff away. Yeah, I've been in major purge mode lately. Getting my life organized. So I'll just keep this and that way I have one. Getting rid of the things that I haven't been using. Either selling them, giving them away, throwing them away. You know, this tends to happen with me a lot because I'm always testing things, playing with things. I mean, that's part of my favorite thing to do. And so I end up accumulating a lot of stuff, and a lot of times a lot of nice stuff. And so if you have any pack rat tendencies, which I don't, even though I tend to purge things pretty quickly, sometimes it's hard to throw stuff away that's of really great quality. I don't really keep the manuals to anything. Manuals these days are kind of useless because you can get all this stuff online. All right, so let me go put this in the trash, and we're gonna blow off this mess out here and probably set up my receiver. All right, so I'm gonna pull out my old Yamaha here. This is an RX V800. This is from like the 2000s, like 99, like probably 98-ish time frame is when this came out, something like that. And so I've had this thing for a really long time. The problem is the volume. The volume knob doesn't work. I bought some aftermarket controller, which it doesn't work. So you really can't change the volume. So I'm gonna pull it out and put in, I'll show you in a minute, my old RX V8, or not RX V, my old B&K AVR 307, which is an awesome receiver. You know, I'm only just doing 3-channel audio here, so it's not a big deal. I don't need a ton of output, but I plan on putting some speakers outside when I do 2.0 of this wash bay. So having 7 channels of amplification you can run in stereo is not such a bad thing. So that way I could put another couple of pairs of speakers out there. When I'm washing, it's kind of hard to hear. Of course, the other plan is to do a soundproofed room for the pressure washer. What we'll talk about here today in the wash and talk, I'll probably end up doing that later because my friend John Clevin from Metropolitan Detail is in town. He's coming up. We're gonna go grab lunch. I'm gonna be talking about, you know, I want to get back to like a hyper level of organization. You know, I enjoy that so much more than what's become of my life, which has been great and fantastic. You know, all the opportunities I get, but I'm losing some of the love of just pure, you know, organization. It's my favorite thing to do. But even like taking out a receiver like this and wiping down the counters or the shelves. I just love doing that stuff. Doing like tinkering around the house to get everything back to making it, you know, again, just a high level of organization. That's what I love spending my time on, and so I'd like to do more of that. A little bit of invisible glass. We're gonna be doing MSS Plus out here, I think. Gosh, look at how nasty that is. Just from the darn bugs climbing around in here. But if I do this every once in a while, it stays somewhat maintained. I've been in here quite a few times, changing up something, adding a speaker. I have out here, this is a unified network switch, which I think I may have accidentally unplugged here. And so this is where I've got a Unify or Ubiquiti AP. So I got an access point on the ceiling here. Now, my Cisco Meraki is pretty out of date, and so I didn't update the license on it. And so we're getting the new Ubiquiti Dream Machine for out here, which will be my firewall and handle all of my network switching. So I was waiting for something because the Meraki only passes 250 gigabits per second, so, or megabits per second, not gigabits per second. So I have gigabit internet, at least upload. I'm sorry, download, not upload. Upload's only 30. Actually, the throughput isn't enough. So out here, the throughput maximum will be We'll be maxed out at like 500 megabits per second because of the nano beam that we have out here. But I don't do any heavy computing out here. I'll have my laptop occasionally, my cell phone, that's about it. So not a big deal. What is this thing? A BTR 200D. This is a Bluetooth receiver. I hope I have enough room to snake in fiber optic cable. Gosh, I know this is ridiculous, but I love doing this kind of stuff. Just tinkering with things. Michelle calls it piddling. Be careful with fiber optic cables because they can kink and break. I put this on top of the this metal cabinet because the Bluetooth doesn't do so well inside the cabinet. My yard guy has dirt bikes, so I gave him my helmet, so that's good. All right, so here's what I got. So I'm taking, I think this is like 100 watts per channel rated. This is rated at 150. My Dynaudio speakers, these are Dynaudio X-Sight 12s. X12, these are 4 ohm. So I'm gonna be driving this sucker at like 200 watts per channel. But this is an AVR 307 from B&K from the early 2000s. That's just fantastic. Gosh, I wish this company didn't go out of business. It was such a great high-end option at I think this was like 3,500 bucks. You know, this was 800 bucks. This was 3,500 bucks. Oh boy, it's like all kinds of dust in there. You know, I should take the cover off and just suck that out. I don't know if I want to mess it up though. I know it works. Let's do it. Let's do a quick little cleanup here on this thing. On my tool grid stuff. If you haven't seen this, this is probably a really bad idea. So when I sell the Sabre cabinets, I'm going to sell it with tools included. When I do the Sonic out here. So I used to sell these, and this was this is the silver face version. Look at that. Thing's so sweet. But this would be a nice little setup to do the Dynaudios. I have a JL sub EL112 out here. Just sounds really nice. So for HQ, the reason why I took this is what I had over there with some Klipsch RP5s and the RC5 center. I'd sold those because there's no room to put those floor standing speakers because the other side is a little bit shorter and also has a garage door in the way, so there was nowhere to put the speakers, and so I ordered some Dynaudio. See, I think this thing just slides off. So I'm doing LYD 48s, which are studio monitors at HQ, which have their own amplifier built in. All I ever do is Bluetooth audio on this stuff. So, you know, I got all this old high-end gear and not really necessary. Oh man, it's funky in there. Let's just vacuum this out and hope that I don't mess anything up. All right, I'm pressing my luck there, getting a little too handsy on all the circuits. That looks better though. I don't want to get in there and beat the crap out of it. I'd say that was worth it, except for when I go to turn it on and it doesn't work. That'll be really sad. Again, I could really see myself getting into audio gear at some point. I do own obsessedhometheater.com, so maybe someday. I used to have a whole suite of Craftsman Philips. But you know, when Ryan was a baby, he'd be always playing with them, and so half of them have disappeared. Actually, I only have 3 left, so I had like a dozen or so. So don't judge me for using a 4-foot long screwdriver on this. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to polish my speakers They're all scratched up from dry wiping them. Maybe I'll make a video of that so people can make fun of me. It was a sad day when B&K went out of business. You know, for a while in the beginning, they had real quality control issues, and then this version of the receiver did really well. I mean, shoot, look at it. It's coming up on 20 years old, and theoretically still works. At least it worked yesterday or a few days ago until I just opened it up and vacuumed it out. So, let's see. This should sound great. The warmth of this receiver combined with the silk dome tweeters should be really good. And this thing weighs like 50 pounds or something like that. Actually, we don't need the surround part of this, but shoot, am I gonna have to move the shelf? Crap. The shelf's too low, I think. So you can see, like from this cabinet, I try to keep things at a minimum. It's so hard when I have access to so much amazing stuff. I'm able to get all the products and toys I've ever dreamt of. And so you have to manage that, otherwise it gets too much. It's just like cars, you know, I've gotten out of control with how many cars I have. I don't like it being, so what I might do is I'll put the receiver in and I might push it back up after I get it set up here. Let's see, because I don't want all those wires. I don't want to see the crappy holes that I made. So anyway, this receiver's 7-channel, 150-ish watts per channel. I think it's 200 watt output at 4 ohms. So we're gonna get some serious power. These little Dynaudios should make them sound great. If I put bananas on this would be way easier. Take 10 seconds. That I pre-wired before we put the walls up here in the wash bay. Believe it or not, I don't have any zip ties here. I took them to the gym. I didn't bring them back. I got power. The Bluetooth thing is working. Nice, look at how good that looks. Legit. Whoa. That's no good. Crap, man. I messed something up likely inside. Shouldn't have vacuumed it out. Well, whatever that was. Let's reset it. All right, welcome back to this evening. So I'm just getting set up here. I didn't plan to stage this as pretty as it looks on camera. That wasn't the goal. It just kind of worked out that way. So I want to get a couple of things set up. I want to swap over to, these are the latest versions of the press-all bottles, I think. Let's see. Nope, this one isn't. This is one of the originals. So I hope this one wasn't damaged at all. And so the problem is I commingled version 2 with version 1, and now I don't know which one's which. So hopefully, I'm just putting new tips on these. Hopefully we can get this right. And I can tell on the tips if they tighten up a little bit more seamlessly without being so taut. So they actually redesigned the tips on these. Yeah, the edge is not as aggressive. Oops. The edge is kind of, the chamfer on the edge is a little bit different on the new versus the old. And so the new versus the old shouldn't break. So we're going to play with these, do some longer term testing out here, and really get acclimated, because I've been using all the blues and the translucents, which version 2 of those is coming out here shortly as well. So we're going to play with these and see if we can get them to work. So anyway, E92 has been neglected. All of my cars have been neglected. We're going to talk about that a bit here tonight. which is unacceptable. I came out here today and did some tweaking, changed the receiver, cleaned up the countertops, blew out all the leaves and all the junk. I want to, after the pollen season's over, I'm going to wash my car capsule showcase, not let it get ruined this time. The last one last year, I'd never cleaned it after pollen season. So I'll be sure to do that probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks when the oak pollen subsides. So that's the interim goal out here. But I do want to swap over bottles here. These ones I know some of them tend to leak out the shaft, and that's what version 2 of these types are going to solve. But in the meantime, the chemical resistant sprayers should be functioning. But I want to do some of my own testing. I haven't been able to get them out here because every time I get any, you guys would buy them all like instantaneously, and then I didn't have any to mess with. And so I took some, I think a couple of these are the new version. All they did was they just changed the tip. So we just swapped to new tips on these, and so I had commingled a couple of the olds with the news, and so now we're just setting them up. So put some bead maker in there, and we're gonna put some brake buster in this one. And I'm just to hack you guys off, I'm not gonna rinse out my funnel, I'm just gonna go for it. So this is straight up brake buster and straight up bead maker, undiluted. And then we'll talk about the foam cannon here. These are the 750 milliliter bottles, which I like that size the most. Always shake up your chemicals a little bit. Get this set up, and then we're gonna get my foam cannon set up and dilute a little bit of this. Let's do that. Yeah, I'm almost out. Let's see how much I can fill up here. So this is the old bottle. Obviously you're looking at the new bottle. I don't have any new bottles either because those sold out almost instantaneously. Ooh, I get to empty a bottle. We've talked about this, many of you OG people remember me talking about how satisfying it is. I don't know why this is the case, but it's so darn satisfying to finish a gallon. It's probably not a smart thing to do, but I like to, makes me feel accomplished for some reason, even though that means I've got to buy more stuff. All right, so I'll dilute that a little bit. You know, I may end up going straight up on this in the foam cannon in the future, but for now this is good. So let me put a little bit of water in here and we'll get set up. Okay, we'll let that settle. Let's get our soap set up. All right, so check this out. So this is something that doesn't look so pretty, but as of yet, this is kind of how we're doing it. My friend Rusty and I are making these quick disconnect for the foam cannon. So as you all are aware, if you have a foam cannon, you know what happens over time. Now I'm really careful with this, but if you're not so careful, what tends to happen is, notice the threads, get that in focus for you. Notice the threads get jacked up over time. And so the way to help alleviate that is to twist the bottle onto the head rather than the head onto the bottle. But even still, it gets beat up over time. The other problem with this is the empty bottle. If you really are careful, you can get it to stand up, but it very easily falls over, which is no good. And so the new PF22.2, the head is the same, but the bottle is different, right? So it has a squatty bottle. And so what my friend Rusty and I came up with, he came up with the design. I said, this is something I wanted. He actually reached out to me. They make some really cool things. They make something for helicopters, and in the downtime they have some production capability on in the winter season. And so him and his engineers came up and designed this concept, this idea. So notice one of the disadvantages, we're adding a lot of bulk to this, and we may be able to refine this in the future, but we've got two problems. We've got the threads of the bottle, and we got the threads of the plug that we need to put into this, so that's why we have to add 1.5 inches of bulk, which makes it look like this weird giraffe looking thing. But here's the magic. I press this button, and I have a quick disconnect, so no more screwing. And so I screw this in, and I screw this onto the bottle, and then I don't need to remove it in the future. So I set this up on my bottle and I leave it permanently. Now this is a kind of a, this is prototype number 1. This is an aluminum version. There's actually, I think he said there's 9 pieces that makes up this thing. And so the version that we'll be coming out with an initial production run is going to be blue anodized. In fact, I've got to call him. Hopefully he watches this. But the concept here is you just snap it in place like so. That's pretty darn cool. The other key is that, notice I'm using a bottle for brake buster and a bottle for soap. And so what we also are going to have is a cap. So the cap snaps in place, so you'll be able to cap off your brake buster or whatever, wheel cleaner, Adam's wheel cleaner, or one Nexet or something like that you're using, and the cap will function very similarly to this. And so the concept or the design here is to be able to pop this in place and also to be able to pop it off with one hand. So the only thing that we're going to have to work on in the future, if this becomes viable, is there is a little bit of, since the new bottles, the neck is wider, there's going to be a little bit of play. And so I'm going to recommend to people, in order to make sure you don't beat up the head of your foam cannon, because this is plastic, is to just use 2 hands instead of one when you're putting it in place. Just hold the neck and push it on. But that's pretty cool. So, something we're working on. And I know you're freaking out. It looks so ugly. Well, function over form in this case. And then the other thing is, it's not like other quick disconnects where the hole is so tiny that you can't fit liquid through it. I went a little bit too aggressive with my soap there. That's a lot more than I need. So 1, 2, how did we fill these things up? I forget. 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we shot the gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Yeah, so we go to the 3rd line. So I put too much in here. We'll just put it on our wash pad. So it's making me want to quit this video and call Rusty right now. I forgot to call him the other day. He messaged me. I think he's got them produced and ready to go. A very small batch, and before you get too excited, it's going to be really expensive. So it's only going to be for a select few that are willing to help us develop this. They're going to be, $80 or $90 or something like that. It'll be about as much as the darn foam cannon. But we're making small, handmade batches of these things. That's the way it goes. If you want to kick and scream, I don't know what to tell you. This is only for the people that are willing to early adopt. Just set this here. I just need to shake this up and make a mess. So the cool thing about the cap is that'll also help us to shake it up. You're in your underwear?
Yes.
Oh, you gotta get it out here fast, bro. All right, let's set up a rinse bucket so I can set my foam cannon up, and then we'll rinse the car. The car is looking a little bit dirty. Always looks good on camera, but man.
It's super dirty.
Yeah, it is. So all these little tweaks in life, like this and this, the foam cannon, it's all good stuff. Fill this up. This is my first use of the quick disconnect. Still put my finger in there. Still shake it up. This is actually my first real use of the new bottle as well. That's awesome. It looks ugly, but they've certainly made an improvement in that, the shorter bottle still doesn't tip over even with the longer neck. Okay, let's rinse the car.
Is that
All right, sorry about that. I don't know what I was thinking. I needed to first do the wheels. Completely forgot about that. So we put I put the OE competition package wheels back on. New gun, new nozzle, 4.0, 40 degree. You better go inside. Mama's gonna be looking for you.
No, I already told her. That's cool, all that thing.
All right. Brake buster. Put our tip back on. And let's clean it up, Bri. And it's kind of cool to have the competition package wheels back on. All right, so the wheels are coated in Crystal Serum Light. I sold the Titan 7s this week, or last week, and put these back on. I don't know what I'm going to do in the future with this car, so from a wheels perspective, but I might be selling it. So it's certainly going to be time coming up here to take the colonite off, get the water spots out. I'm going to have to do this really soon because this car, it's going to be failing here soon, especially with all the pollen. It's probably about time to re-detail the car now. All right, we got to do the lugs here. All right, Mama's going to be looking for you. Go.
No, she's not.
It's too late. Man, the brakes are super dirty. So this car probably hasn't been cleaned in about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. A little over a month. It's been a long time. And that to me is just not, it's not acceptable. It's not fun. Knowing that I've got all these cars and none of them are clean and each one gets sort of a little bit of attention but not enough. And so I know to most people that sounds like a crybaby thing, that, you know, why would anybody be complaining about having so many cars? Well, it's just not my thing. So I've done this a bunch where, well, twice. It's the second time I've done this, where I ended up with a bunch of cars and then I realized having a bunch of cars is not all it's cracked up to be. And so then I kind of worked my way backward. And so somehow this happened again, where I let myself get a bunch of cars and now I'm a slave to them. And so now it's time for me to backpedal again, which, you know, call it what you want. I like doing this stuff. I like buying cars. I like doing what I'm doing with them and, you know, setting them up to with my style. It's so funny. Some goofs were getting all mad about somebody calling it OG spec. It was just a bunch of bolt-ons. It's more about, call it OG style, you know, whatever you want to call it. Some people just don't like it when other people like somebody for who they are and what they're about. So that was in the Facebook group. So I just laugh about it. Man, this is way different than I remember cleaning my competition package wheels back in the day. Now that I have a proper coating on them, makes it a lot easier to clean them. So now I'm using straight up product to add to it. Get the tires a good cleaning. Yeah, so I'm just not. I got all these cars that I like. All the cars. Well, I don't really like the Corvette, but even that, it's not. I don't hate it. You know, so I like all these cars, but it's just too much for me. I think that, you know, this is deja vu. I had the same conversation with you in a wash and talk not that long ago when I had a GT350, 2 Raptors. I had my GT3. What else did I have? Oh, and my S2000. And so I ratcheted back from that, and now here we are again. But isn't that what life is all about, man? Chasing stuff. At least it is for me. So, the M5 is going first. I really like the M5 too. You know, I really transformed that thing. I didn't like it very much when I got it, but I've really come around to it. It's really turned out great. I'm really pumped at how it turned out. So, what I've got to do to it first is put the intake on, and then I'm going to sell that car as is. But I'll do some drive-in, and I've got to do some photos of it finished, and I'll be sure to share all that stuff with you. But I do want to complete the project. You know, people ask the question, which is a logical question. You know, why are you doing all this if you're just going to sell it? So it's just, I enjoy the process more than a lot of times the car. Unless I'm absolutely in love with the car, I like the process, the chase. I just get to buy all the parts and wait for them and get to take pictures of them and take videos and do the whole thing and then sell it and move on. That to me is fun. You know, I get that that's not everybody's bag, but it's mine. The only problem is I did too many. Too many cars, too much. And so isn't that kind of the question here? And this has been the evolution of me as a human, is that in the beginning, I talked about this on Inside the Hex. If you're not an Inside the Hex member, you should become one. It's $60 a year or $8 a month or something like that. I think we set it up. So there is a monthly option now where I share a little bit more insight into life and business. Actually, a lot more insight. And I talked about how I need to simplify. I'm just getting way ahead of myself. And I've started to create a job out of this. I don't want that. It's not that I want to just do what it is I want to do all day. It's just that there's a functionally excellent version of what a day for me looks like, and it's a lot more productive. One, I like it more, and two, it's a lot more productive from an Obsessed Garage business perspective to just stay out here, stay in the wash bay, go in the garage and work on little projects and share it with you and talk about life. And I can't do that if I'm freaking jet setting all over the stupid world doing things that I don't even want to do just because there's an opportunity to do it. And so the great part about this is, and this is what I'm learning, is that, let me use an example of like any car I've ever bought up to now. I just assumed that when I bought the car, I'd convinced myself that I'm going to have that car for the rest of my life, even though there's not a chance in the world that's going to happen. And so then when I'd be done with it or want to change it or do something different, I'd be beating myself up. I'd beat myself up to no end instead of just accepting whatever it is that I need to accept. Like, okay, it's time to move on. So let's move on. Let's do something different. That's okay. It's okay to change. It's okay to change. And I don't really do opinions, despite what you may think. But it's made change your, have a new experience and then have a new take on something. Change products, change process, evolve. Sometimes evolve for the better, sometimes evolve for the worse. Is this one working? I know a couple of these weren't functioning right. So I got to keep playing with these to figure out what's what. on these Press-All bottles. So version 2 of the sprayers for the translucent, the green, or I guess the yellow bottles are in production. So it's clearly going to take years for us to get this right, so bear with me. Hey, there's another example. It's okay. It's okay to evolve, adapt, make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the more you're going to learn. So with me buying, selling cars, getting new cars, doing things in the garage, changing products, changing process, and being okay with people not understanding that, is part of the deal. Let's clean the exhaust tips up here. Yeah, so the M5's leaving, then the Corvette will be completed. And I'm probably going to do something a bit more creative, I think. I don't know if it's going to be a giveaway. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Corvette yet. I'm going to wait to see how it turns out. I canceled the Billy Boat exhaust. They're just jerking me around. And so while I was kind of waiting for all of that, I came to the conclusion, why don't I just put a really good rear section on, put the factory headers back on, and I'll probably like that more. And the car is just so darn insane with those headers that even when I do sell it, no one's going to want that long term. I know there's a contingent of horsepower chasers on a Corvette, but most of the people I'm going to sell it to aren't going to be. It's amazing how much more the wheel well fills out with the factory setup, the factory wheels and spacers. The Titan 7s, I absolutely needed a new suspension because it needed to be lower. But the sidewall is a little meatier on this setup, so I don't really need it to change the suspension, I don't think. I'd like to go a little lower, but it looks okay. So M5 goes, hopefully, assuming somebody buys it. I think somebody will. I'm going to list it. I'm going to sell it for 75 grand. So I know some people are going to freak out about that. I paid, roughly, what did I pay? 57 for it. And then we added it up. I think I have about 40, I have a spreadsheet, 40,000 bucks worth of stuff on it, plus then all the labor. And I don't know, say what you want about you never get your money back on aftermarket parts. Well, I have, so not always, but I don't think I'll get all the money back on it, but somebody's going to want that car. I just hit 20,000 miles. It's a competition package. It's a 2016, so it's the last of the F10. It's really, really clean, really dialed, has all options except for the one option it doesn't have, which would have been nice, is full leather. But, again, I've done so much to that car. I made it so much better. It is so much better than it was when I got it. Oh, my gosh. It's really nice. See that thing rolling down the road? I see Michelle driving it occasionally. It makes me just not want to sell it. But it's just, again, it's too much. The Raptor's a mess. The M5 has been, I've kept that up. But even that, I've only washed once every 3 weeks if I'm lucky. I want to keep it. I want to be able to focus on some cars, focus on life. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to unashamedly just sell stuff and change it up. So M5 goes, the Corvette goes, the GT3 RS gets PPF and set up. Eventually we do the Dundon exhaust. Right now I have the AWE exhaust, which is really cool. I like both of them. And so I have the simple AWE exhaust, but we'll put the Dundon on in the not too distant future, have those guys come out, and we'll do a whole install series. Then the GT4 is coming, And so the question is, so I've been dreaming of this, to go back to basics with me and not make this a job, but make this super enjoyable and continue to get to chase process and product more and really focus on a couple of cars that I love. And so the question is, do I sell this car and have 2 cars? Right, well, 3, including the Raptor. But do I have 2 cars, a GT4 and a GT3 RS? And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, those are the same cars. Well, we'll talk about the spec on the GT4, which is going to anger some people. But I'm getting regular seats in the GT4. I'm likely going to send the GT4 up to Boston to my friends at Sound of Motion. We're going to do a stereo in that thing and really make it my daily car. But I would love to have this thing. I don't know if this is how this is doing. I don't like that. I would love to have, go back to that whole schedule, that magical schedule of, I have 1 car over at HQ now that I have the other side of the building all set up to where, at least for a little while, 6 or 8 months or so, probably, we're not going to, packing and shipping is not going to be encroaching on my videoing and sort of hobby garage area. And so I can keep a car there. So wash it, take it over there, put it on the, put it in there, put it on the lift, or, work on some little projects on it or something, drive the other car that's clean. So, and then swap. And so GT3 goes over there. I wash it, put it over there. It sits there for the week. I tweak it and do all the little things to it that I normally do. Tinker with it, piddle with it, as Michelle would say. And then I take the GT4, drive that for the week, and then it gets dirty, wash it, take it over, take the GT3 out, put the GT4 in, drive the GT3 all week, piddle around with the GT4, and do that life, and do that swap. As awesome as it is having these cool cars, man, that just sounds magical to me. Sounds so simple. It just sounds so good. But here's the thing, and we all know what you're all yelling at the screen right now. If I sell this car, I'm gonna want another one. So is that a smart move?